Hi, Morgan here. Today's video is going to focus on prohibited firearms and in particular tubular magazine shotguns and rimfire firearms. I'm here at the Police National Armoury with Terry Quirk, who is a senior armourer for police. Now Terry, can you walk us through why some tubular magazine firearms are now prohibited?
Thanks, Morgan. So first of all, if we look at the buyback price list, which you'll find online, it will describe a number of different firearms which have tubular magazines. And by the tubular magazine, if I use this shotgun as a description of that, it's the tube that goes underneath the barrel that carries the ammunition. Many rimfire and shotguns will be chambered for different size ammunition. So you'll see by these two rounds that I'm holding up are both 12 gauge shotgun rounds. The red round on the left, or on my left, is a 2 3/4 inch round, and the one on the right, the green round, is a 3-inch round. When applied to the magazine tube for any particular gun, the assessment of the tube's capacity is for a pump action shotgun it cannot hold any more than 5 rounds. That would be dependent on what that shotgun is chambered for, as I've described with the two types of ammunition down there. If I was to apply 2 3/4 inch rounds to this particular shotgun, it will hold 6 rounds in the tube of 2 3/4. But when tested with 3-inch shotgun rounds, like the green round that I showed you earlier, it will actually only hold 4 3-inch rounds. Therefore, this shotgun would not be prohibited.
Alright, Terry, that covers shotguns that are compliant via the capacity. Now can we talk about shotguns that are currently not compliant? There are a couple of options with shotguns. You can bring them in for buyback, of course, and the other option is to potentially have your shotgun modified.
Thanks, Morgan. So if I hold this particular 12 gauge pump action shotgun up, you'll see that the magazine tube goes almost to the end of the barrel. In this particular case, this gun is chambered for only 2 3/4 inch shells, and if you apply the length of the 2 3/4 inch shell that I showed you before to that magazine tube, you'll see that it will hold 6 rounds. In that particular case, then this shotgun would then be prohibited, except that the owner would then be offered the option to have the tube modified by an approved gunsmith, of which you'll find those listed on the website.
Okay, Terry, so we've covered off shotguns. Now we'll talk about tubular magazine, rimfire, and there are some other calibers that may be affected as well by the capacity level of the firearm. Can you walk us through why a particular firearm with a tubular magazine may be prohibited?
Thanks, Morgan. Again, if we're looking at a rimfire round, of which there's 2 on the table here, this one being a pump action and the one on the table being a lever action, the magazine tube is again underneath the barrel in these 2 particular types of gun, and that will determine how many rounds are contained or can be contained within that magazine tube. If I just put this rifle down and we look at the 2 potential types of ammunition that could be loaded into that, and I appreciate they're only small. One in my right hand is a 22 long rifle round, and the one in my left hand is 22 short. If I was to apply the 22 short ammunition to this magazine tube, it would hold in the vicinity of 14 or 15 rounds of 22 short ammunition, and as a result, this rifle would be prohibited. But if I applied the long rifle round into this magazine tube, it could well hold only 10 rounds or less, in which case then it wouldn't be prohibited. The fact that it's chambered for 22 long rifle then means that if it only holds 10 rounds, it's no longer prohibited. If it was to hold more of the long rifle rounds than 10 rounds, then of course the same modification option is then available to the owner, and they can go to the approved gunsmith to have that modification conducted.
Alright, Terry, I've just noticed there that you've got the lever action rifle. Can you just explain what other rifles people may have that have got a tubular magazine that may be prohibited?
Sure, thanks, Morgan. So as you described, we've got a lever action 22 rimfire rifle with a tubular magazine underneath the barrel. It's not inconsistent to have other types like bolt actions, semi-automatics that may have tubular magazines also, in which case the same modification standards assessment of the tube capacity and the modification option via an approved gunsmith has that same option available.
So Terry, just for absolute clarity, what is prohibited in the tubular magazine space, shotgun and a rifle?
Thanks, Morgan. The critical aspect of determining the magazine tube capacity is based on what the firearm is chambered for. So if it's chambered for both 2 3/4 in the case of a shotgun and 3-inch, then you measure the capacity of the tube based on the 3-inch length cartridge, and that will then tell you whether it falls within the 5-round maximum capacity of a magazine for a shotgun.
And tubular magazine rifles, what do people need to be aware of for that?
Sure. So the difference between the rimfire rifle and the shotgun is that the maximum capacity of the magazine, again, for the largest round that the rifle is chambered for, is a maximum of 10 rounds.
Okay, so as long as you are 10 rounds or under, you're fine. And with the shotguns, as long as you're 5 rounds and under, you're fine, as long as it's chambered to that round.
That's correct. Except what I would say is that for semi-automatic firearms, the offer about the magazine modification only applies to tubular magazines, not to a detachable box magazine.
Yeah, okay. So box magazines are not covered by the modifications offered in the Arms Act regulations. So fixed tubular magazines only. Okay guys, so as you've seen here, there are other firearms other than semi-automatic military style firearms that are now prohibited due largely to capacity. There are some options. You can always hand them in through the buyback process. The second option is modifications. We've got another video for modifications, so keep an eye out for that, and that will give you the process details. Keep an eye on our website, and until next time, thanks for your time.